The National Council for Civic Education and Democracy, in partnership with the International Institute for Democracy and Election Assistance and the National Commission for Democracy, with support from the European Union, organized a two-day citizens dialogue session on governance and politics at the Atlantic Hotel in Freetown, with the theme Consolidating Democracy by Inclusive Participation, and its aim to bring together citizens, civil society organizations, government officials, and other stakeholders to discuss ways to strengthen democracy and promote active citizens' engagement in governance and politics. The events began with remarks from the chairperson of the National Commission for Democracy, who emphasized the importance of citizens' participation in the democratic process. This was followed by the head of program from the International Institute for Democracy and Election Assistance, who highlighted the role of civil society organizations in promoting democracy and transparent elections. A representative from the European Union also spoke about the European Union's commitment to supporting democracy and good governance in Sierra Leone. The overview of the dialogue session was provided by the chairman of the National Council for Civic Education and Democracy, Kalilu Tutange, who outlined the objective of the event and the topics that will be discussed.
So what we are doing here today is to have a look as citizens of this country. What is the state of our democracy? Because what we did in the Strengthening Democracy project was to work with NCD, with PPLC, with other civil society groups for us to drive participation, non-violent participation, especially of young people. In our own case, we wanted young people not to be violent, to come out in their numbers and participate in the electoral process. And they did. On the day of the election, we were told over 80% of our compatriots been out there and voted. And the level of violence was minimal. So, as far as we are concerned, we succeeded in what we set out to do. Unfortunately, the politicians disagreed. And a lot of issues say this one happened, we have disaggregated this, disaggregated that, and all of that. We thought they were trying to throw spanners into our work. My sister and I were very happy because we thought we had succeeded. But the outcome and all of the arguments that they had was not very good for us. But we thought there was an opportunity in that as well. Because if you are going to review elections systems, then that's a good thing. Once in a while, we need to look at what we're doing right and what's not going so right. But you have to put people in charge of that process. Instead, what happened? The two political parties whose only interest in all of this is to win elections, we are given the responsibility to go and review this process and set new laws. We think that's not quite right. We think the people of Sierra Leone should be the ones who should be in charge of that process. They're the ones who should discuss these issues and come up with recommendations that we can all agree on. And so that's why we are, together with my colleagues at the NCD and with support from International Ideas and the EU, that's why we decided that we should have this dialogue.
Representative from the National Council of Paramount Chiefs, the co-chair of the Tripartite Committee, and the executive secretary of the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion also made important statements during the session. The keynote address for the day one of the dialogue session was delivered by the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Sierra Leone, Mohamed Kone, who spoke about the importance of free, fair, and transparent elections in a democratic society. He emphasized the need for all citizens to participate in the electoral process and to hold their leaders accountable, and also gave some statistics about the 2023 election.
Every electoral cycle or every decade, we always have a global picture relating to global issues. So for this decade, I'm sure everything is about inclusivity, whether in Africa, in Europe, in other words, the minorities also want to hear their voice or their voices. Mr. Chairman, please allow me to bring my keynote address to statements made by a renowned scholar, Professor James Robinson, who said that elections are a centerpiece of democracy. They are the fundamental political event in democratic society and the only occasion on which most people get directly involved in politics. In other words, that is the essence of democracy, government by the people, for the people, and of the people. I don't know whether Prof is here, whether that definition still stands in the context of Swahili. Maybe when you are on your panel, you will educate us on that. This statement rather underscores the point that elections must be inclusive, where all those eligible have the opportunity to vote choose their representatives, and where the process must ensure that women, men, persons with disability participate without hindrance. We can all confirm that the modern trend and modern dynamics are gearing towards inclusion in all spheres and space to curb the menace of discrimination that hinders participation in all aspects of democracy and governance. Inclusion in electoral participation is not limited to having the right to vote, but the electoral processes should encompass all eligible citizens that are empowered and able to vote, regardless of their background or circumstances. Generally, there are general basic principles for promoting inclusion.
The Citizens Dialogue session provided a valuable opportunity for stakeholders to come together and discuss ways to strengthen democracy and promote inclusive participation in governance and politics. It is hoped that the discussions and recommendations made during this event will help to build a more democratic and inclusive society in the country. For Star TV News in Freetown, George Elliott Sam reporting.